Welcome to BAM, Badass Moms with Lori and Jenny. We are moms on a mission to share women's stories about life, fitness, aging, relationships, travel, and much more. Hello, friends, and thanks for listening. I just wanted to take a second to give you a quick reminder about subscribing to the show. If you have not already, just take a moment and do so. This will make sure that you never miss a daily bite or an upcoming episode. And in addition to that, if you have a few extra moments and like to drop us a review, we'd really appreciate it. And there's also a sponsor of the show located at the bottom of all of our episodes. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being badass. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us on another episode of The BAM with Lori and Jenny. Today, we have a very amazing guest, Mackenzie, who is going to take us on her journey to her current path of being a full-time real estate agent and running her own business, right, Mackenzie? And yes. We're so excited. Not only is she a thriving real estate agent, she is also a mom to two kiddos. And I say kiddos, but 17 and 20, but they're always our kiddos, right? So welcome to the show, Mackenzie.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is fun. A great Friday event.
Well, about the fun to kick off the weekend, right?
Absolutely. Yes. You made me feel very special, so thank you.
So, Mackenzie, where are you located?
I live in Cary, North Carolina, a suburb of Raleigh, the capital of good old beautiful North Carolina.
Nice. So had you grown up there, or how did you end up there?
So about 18 years ago, my husband, I was born and raised in Florida, and we had our first child, and he was like, we kind of felt like we lived in South Florida. And so we felt like we were hamsters on that hamster wheel, just trying to keep up with the Joneses. Yeah. And just, we were thinking of moving closer to family just because we were starting to start a family and like, what are we doing? So my husband, being the researcher that he is, said, hey, this town, Cary, North Carolina, keeps coming up as the best place to raise a family. And so I was 5 months pregnant, and we left our 3-year-old at home, and we flew to North Carolina. And we bought the first house we saw.
Oh my gosh.
Which is so not us at all. I think it took my mom 10 years to forgive me for leaving. But so then we came back here, and we just knew if we never did it before the kids got in school, we would never do it.
So are you still in that same house?
We are still in that same house. Isn't that crazy? I know.
Once you get embedded with like sports and school and all that stuff, then you're like, we're not going anywhere.
No, we weren't. And for me, I even went to college in Florida. So I had never, I was 2 hours from my family. My brother still lives there, all the things. But we did it. He's from up north. And so he wanted seasons, and I had never had seasons before. So the seasons, fall, I could just lay in a bed of leaves during the fall here. And so we're here. And so our daughter was 6 weeks. Our son was a little over 3. And we packed up and we moved to North Carolina, and we're still here. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now, how was that transition with 2 tiny kids? How was that whole transition? Like trying to, you've had this community for your entire life and family. So moving with 2 littles, like how was that?
It was extremely difficult. Absolutely a people person. I have a community. I have a tribe. The main downfalls of leaving was my family and my tribe of moms. And it's such a tight network we were all in the same place, doing all the same things. And I left them. And so I'll never forget. Do you guys remember when Jamboree used to be like activities, right?
Totally.
So now I'm totally dating myself. It wasn't just clothes. But I was like, I've got to meet people. I'm about to lose my mind. And I went to a jamboree, and I had dressed up for the day, right? Which means I took a shower and put a little bit of makeup on and all the things. And
took a shower. Right there. That is as a mom.
it's the reality of it. And I was looking around the moms, and this might sound a little judgy, but it's the truth. And I was like, who else has taken a shower today? Like, who else is going to be my people that we might not take it every day, but there's going to be somebody who's taking a shower. And I was like, whoa, look at her. Our kids are the same age. And I literally was like, hi, my name is Mackenzie. I just moved to North Carolina. Would you like to have a play date?
Oh my God, I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So I like that you had very high standards. They had to.
Listen, I'm not sleeping at 6 weeks, right? I have a 3-year-old who every time I held the baby decided to jump on something and be naughty because mom is now ignoring me. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that community. And so I thrive in community for sure.
Are you still friends with that mom?
I am still friends with that mom. We are. So our it's her oldest and my youngest, they're both seniors, and he's a boy. And they were really, really good friends up and through. I was a stay-at-home mom when the kids were young. I went back to teaching. So I taught before kids. I was able to stay home whenever we had children. And then I went back to work to when they went back into school, because we wanted them to be at a private school, and I was able to financially to help out. I went back to work to be able to work where they went to school.
So how old were your kiddos then when you went back to work full time? Were they about 5 or 6 or?
Yep. So my daughter was in kindergarten, and then our son was in second grade. They're 3 years, but 2 years academically apart. So kindergarten and second grade.
Awesome. And so teaching. So tell us a little bit about that path. How did you get into teaching, and what led you to kind of find that as your niche?
Yeah. So I went to my undergrad I thought going to be in speech pathology, and my graduate program into speech pathology. And as I was doing my senior year of undergrad and working with students who were nonverbal, working with children who are nonverbal, not only do I love my village and community, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. And it was just super tough. Like NICU nurses, anyone who's I didn't know how to not bring that stuff home, if you will. And I just kind of got this calling that I think I really want to be a teacher. So I went to graduate school to get my master's in education instead of doing it for speech pathology, because a lot of it carried over in my undergrad. And then I became a teacher, and I did that.
That was your first pivot.
That was my lesson. Oh, you're right. That was my first pivot. I've been doing it my whole life, but I didn't even realize it. Absolutely. And so then I taught, like I said, for almost 10 years, and had stopped when we were still in South Florida because we had our son, but did that and just.
Which grade?
I'm still Facebook friends with the families. So like they're having kids and they're engaged and they're doing all of the things. And I am still at least Facebook friends with so many of them. I taught third grade in South Florida, and then I taught fifth grade up here in North Carolina. And fifth grade, I thought third grade was my sweet spot, but fifth grade, man, they are just awesome fifth graders.
Yeah. My son's in first grade, and I'm always like, first grade's got to be so hard. Like, I feel like the youngers are harder, right? As they start to get a little older, then I don't know. I'm not a teacher, so I have no idea. But
well, for me, I love fifth grade because I can joke with them. You can they can get your humor right in fifth grade, but they're still not too cool to like you, right? Because once it gets to middle school, they're too cool for their teacher and that sort of thing. So fifth grade, they're like little mini adults, and you can kind of talk to them that way.
Yeah, totally. So going back to teaching, now you have 2 kiddos in school yourself. Doing that, you hit another point in your life where there was a pivot, correct?
There was a pivot, and it's so interesting to have this conversation now versus when I was in the middle of it, because my answers are so different today than they would have been 10 years ago, when I was kind of starting this. But I went back to work to be able to, we made the choice to have them in private education and went back to work for that. And I had shared that service is my love language. Helping others is my love language. I really do love it. But I was getting to a point as our family was growing and we had different aspirations and different things that we wanted to do. I felt like I was giving so much to the community, and I had a ceiling at what I could provide for my family. And that was incredibly disheartening, if you will. We know that in America, whether you're public or private educator, we do not make enough money, right?
I'm always like, teachers are, one of the most, there's a lot of underpaid professions, correct? But like teachers, you just give and you teach and you provide so much love to so many kiddos. And I just feel like the financial means is not even close to where it should be. So.
Correct. So, you spend your days and, you're whipped by the end of the day, end of the week, by the weekend. And so there wasn't, and I was tutoring on the side, and I was doing all kinds of extra things that I could do just to help, and not to get things or to buy things. It was just to, you always want to do a little bit more and have a little bit better. We had college savings for the kids and just life was happening. Right. and that sort of thing. And so I really went through this. Do I want to get out of the classroom? Do I want to become a principal? Do I want to go back to school and get my leadership master's degree in leadership and do that? And it kind of led me to, no, I didn't want to do it. And so here I am, I'm at a mom's group, right? They're moms of the school for my kids. And we're sitting around and I was talking to somebody and it was just, I think it's time to do something different. I just have no idea what the hell that is. I mean, I was 40 years old. What in the world am I doing? I was like, I'm 40. What am I else? All I know is teaching and kids. And, I haven't been in corporate America. And so somebody there was like, why don't you become a real estate agent? I'm like, okay, next. I was like, I didn't even.
Yeah.
What? And she's like, you don't understand how your skill set pivots so well from being an educator to a real estate agent, that the best real estate agents were teachers, right? Because of our organizational skills, our communication skills, seeing a situation and be able to make a decision on a dime, reading a room very, very well, talking to people with a very tense situations, right? There's nothing more emotional than buying a house or your child.
Yeah.
And I've been in both fields now, right? And so she just kind of put that little bug in my ear. And I was like, am I really going to leave teaching to be a real estate agent? Because real estate agent stacks up right above, I don't know, a used car salesman. Right? So then I have all of this. What will people think? What will people think that I'm leaving teaching that I've done for almost 20 years to go and to become a real estate agent?
So at 40, you were asking yourself, what will other people think? Isn't that interesting?
It's sad is what it is.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's really, it's very interesting because we all still do it, right? Yep. Even at 40 years old, we're like, what will other people think? And it's like, how do we get out of that, right? And just get to the point where you just don't give a shit and you do what you want to do, right?
I don't know, but if we figure that out, then we can bottle it and sell it, because
right.
I still do it too. Yeah. I mean, I was like, what will my kids think? What will my parents think? I mean, my parents, for God's sakes, right? Like, I'm 50. So
100%. It was my parents and they come from, and it's that generational, I don't hate the word baggage, but I'll just say in the point where our parents only did what they knew to do, right? So the way that our parents raised us is different than the way we're raising our kids. Our kids will do better than us. It's just the way that it is. But my parents, God bless them, they stayed at the same job for their whole life, right?
Yeah.
And that's just what you did. You got your job and you stayed there for 35 years, and then you got your little plaque and you did your thing and you retired. And so my dad is just like, no, this, and so, I mean, now they've been phenomenal. So anywho, and the bigger thing too, I think that was really hard for me. And I was really thinking about this. And I think not just for me in particular is, who was I to want more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a beautiful family. I have a house. I have a head over a roof over my head.
Yep.
What was I thinking? Why was I gonna, do all of this?
Upset the apple cart and like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for what? For more money? For more? I didn't even know what it was for. Midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it at 40, that sort of thing. But I just knew that this wasn't it, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. So I left teaching. I got into real estate. I was scared to death to have a full commission. I didn't make a lot as a teacher, but at least I knew what I was getting every month, right? So then going into commission, so I went more of an admin standpoint. So I was still getting that paycheck, did a lateral financial move. And then I started doing open houses on the weekends when other agents couldn't do it because I was licensed at this time. And I'm really good with people. Yeah. And so I started meeting people at open houses on the weekend and then started selling houses and finally got that courage to say, okay, I'd
love that you did that, for a couple of things you said, like the safety and security in that paycheck, which we all do. Like it might not be a lot, but we have safety and security in that paycheck. But what you did, I think, was brilliant. You went over into the new field, but you stayed in an admin role where you were still able to get that and dip your toe in, which I think can offer you, it opens up your world and shows you what's possible, but you're still like under that.
You feel a little safe, right? There's still a little bit of a safety net where you're not just like jumping into the water completely without a life jacket. You're kind of just tipping your toes in a little bit.
Correct. But I can also admit today, having now being on the other side of that, going back to what we were talking about before, I think I did that not really for security that I needed, but for the people around me who needed it.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
So, tell us more about that.
Well,
yeah.
I should stop talking. No, but I mean, I've been doing some soul searching, not because of the podcast, but the last 6 years, this has been such an amazing trajectory for me and for myself and all of the things. But just, I think it was an easier way for me to justify why I wanted to do this. Let's go back to, I had a roof over my head. My kids were healthy. Husband and I are fine. Why am I doing this? So I was able to justify as a woman and as a mom, as a wife, and as somebody who needed to help provide for our family, that I wanted to literally leave and go straight into real estate and do all these things. And so it was a trajectory I was supposed to go on. It was a path that I was supposed to have and that I can accept and be a part of. But I go back to that when I want to make another big life decision like I have recently and saying, are you nervous? Are you scared? Or are you scared for others? Because that's where that service comes from, right? I'm always worried about everybody else. And, and I think a lot of women, if not moms, do the same thing.
For sure.
So I just heard you mention another pivot in your life story, and so obviously still in real estate. But what is the next step that it sounds like you've taken?
Well, I had a most amazing woman a few months ago reach out to me. We had worked at our previous company or team, and she asked me to be her business partner and to start our own real estate team. I still say it and I giggle because I'm like, holy crap, am I really doing this? I'm doing it. Okay. Yeah, we're doing it. And so about, just 3 months ago, it was just in the beginning of November, I am left the safety of a beautiful community. And it was because I had that, Mackenzie, there's something else. One thing that you do when you start to find the courage, which is a beautiful thing, to make pivots and changes, I don't know if it gets easier, but that voice or that feeling or that energy, I believe a lot of energy and frequencies and vibrations and all those things and signs that you see out in the universe. And they're just like, Mackenzie, last time you did this, it worked out pretty well for you. Are you really not going to kind of play around with this one a little bit? And
we could probably talk for hours about the whole, the frequency and the energy and what you're putting out there and all that kind of stuff. But I think I find it so interesting too, that you do have these little callings, right? You have these little nudges or signs or all these things that show up, and it's up to you if you want to ignore them or if you want to follow them. And if you want to follow them, you can find some really cool stuff, right? You can end up in a place you never imagined.
Well, and what I'm trying to get better at is not just ignoring them, but just being open to them. Because sometimes I don't even think there's an opportunity or a sign, and it goes right over my head because I'm so focused on other things, other people, other stuff, right? Yeah. And so just really trying. So when I made this big pivot, so much of my journaling, so much of my thought process was, going back to why do you want to do this? Is this something that you want to do? Are you doing it because your friend reached out to you and asked to partner with her? It's such a great compliment that she thinks that you would be a great business partner with her, but are you doing it to please her? Are you doing it to help her? And so when I cut right back down to it, I was like, wow, this would be fun.
Yeah. And are you having fun?
Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun. I mean, the first 3 weeks, I probably had, 7 panic attacks.
With fun comes panic, right?
Of course, I'm like, oh shit, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm not fine. I'm not fine. My husband opened the doors like, how are we today? Like, I'm not sure what I'm walking into. I'm like, today's a good day, Yeah. Every day is a good day. But those have subsided, and it's this journey has just been pretty cool. And again, it doesn't go back to, I didn't want more things. Mm-hmm. It's just,
you needed more inside, right? Like you needed more to fill your bucket. My son always talks about, and he gets this from his teacher, but about how you can fill other people's buckets and how they can fill your bucket, and how we should focus on filling our own bucket. And, it's just a really good, I think story with you, because you're really putting in perspective as you always had, things were always good. And it's not that you needed them better, but it was this intrinsic feeling and desire to know that you had more to give, because you're a giver too, right?
And to be, I know that, I think it's Ed Milet who talks about being that one person in your family who makes that big jump, who makes that big change, who makes that big thing, right? And I'm like, I'm the one, like the one who's just ready to be. And I say that because I couldn't have said that to you just 3 years ago. And I'm sitting where I am today because other people believed in me and I leaned on their belief system that I could do this. And then from positive feedback, negative feedback that helped me to grow, or whatever that case may be. But today, right now, I was able to make this choice because I can say out loud, I still listen to me stutter to say it, I believe in me. Yeah. And that was the only way that I was going to be able to make this transition, to feel like I could do this with my business partner, with the agents who will eventually align with us, which, whenever that happens is great. There's no timeline there. And I believe in me, and it's a pretty cool thing. So,
and showing your kids that, like, that's one of the things that, when I started my business last January, so it's been a year. And I think that one of the things that was so interesting is, so going back to like energy at the universe and stuff, I actually also like to get psychic readings like once a year. And I got a psychic reading and she said, you're changing the trajectory for your kids. You're showing them what's possible. And for me, I was like, I got chills. I was like, that's amazing. Like, to show them that there's something different than just, this is what society says you have to do, right? And to show them that you can make a change and follow your passion when you're 40, 50, 60, whatever. It's a cool responsibility.
100%. And so my list of negatives of going from teaching to real estate was, how will this impact my kids negatively? That was always my first thought. I didn't allow myself that space to be, how can this impact them positively? So the kids at the time, I guess, were 11 and 14. So they weren't babies, but they were used to mom going to school with them. They were used to mom being off when they were off of school, and that sort of thing. And we sat down and had a family discussion that for the next 2 years, mom's going to have to just kill it. And she's killing it. So that might mean I'm not going to miss every soccer game and every baseball game, but I might miss some because of what I'm trying to grow. And I'm growing for the family. I'm doing this for the family. And it was a really great motivator too, because there was no way in hell I was failing in front of my children. And so whenever I wanted to be like, I can't do this, I'm like, oh, yes, you can, darling. You just get up, because who's telling Kyle or Abby that, hey, by the way, I tried, but mom failed? That wasn't happening, right? And so, and now it's as they are, there's twofold. It's helped me now that our daughter has decided that she wants to go out of state for college. And I'm, quietly dying inside, but really happy that I've raised a daughter who feels she can do that, right? At the same time, it's helping me as a mom to try to give her that space, because how can I not give her that space to make these decisions and choices when I asked my family to do that too, 6 years ago, and now just a few months ago. Just, if we feel this is where we're being led to go, then I think it's helping me be a less freaked out mom. Inside, but at least the conversations that I'm trying to have with her. She might disagree, but in my mind, I'm doing the best that I can.
Of course you are.
Being able to be open to those. And now they can see that they can pivot at any time. And most importantly, that their parents will absolutely 1000% support. If they ever came to me when they were 25, 35, 45 and say, hey, mom, I think I want to do this. Great. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. Because my parents ultimately have been as well. They've come full circle for sure.
That's awesome. So in addition to your kids, you have a husband.
I do.
So let's talk a little bit about him. It sounds like you guys have been married for, what'd you say, 25 years?
It'll be 25 years in a few months. So I met him when I was 19.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 47. I'll be 48 this year. And I met him in college and did not go to college thinking I was meeting anybody, but we met each other. If anyone, I think, listening to this, who know both of us will know that there is no two farther yin and yangs in this world. As much as I talk, that's how much he does not talk, right? He doesn't need to talk. He always says, because you talk for the both of us, babe, we're good. He is, so we have definitely gone through since 19. We got married very young, but again, we were together for so long. It's like, what do you do? Right. So we were married together at 19. I was married at 22, had my first at 27, because we just went through again, going back to your point, is that's what you do, right? You're supposed to go to college, and you're supposed to get married, and you're supposed to have kids, and supposed to live in the suburbs. And that was the first, 20, half of my life. Well, 40 years of my life almost, just like I was doing everything I was supposed to do, because I'm a people pleaser. I will please my husband. I will please my children. I will please my parents. I will please my friends and family. And Mackenzie stopped trying to please everybody. And so, and you know what? Nothing fell, nothing broke, nobody left me, all that kind of stuff. So Mike has been, I would be remiss if I did not share what kind of support he has been, because he'll listen to this. Change is not easy for anybody. Change, I believe, is incredibly hard for him. And I've asked him to have massive faith in me. Yeah. And he's had it.
And you said that he's like got a stable job. Like, so has he been in the same job for a long time? Like, what's his career?
No. So this gets even crazier. Are you ready for this?
Perfect. Yes.
So he was, family business was run for 60 years. He just was unfulfilled. And so he did a lot of like back end operations, processes, systems, all that sort of thing. When I was a real estate agent at my previous team, they hired him for ops. So we actually worked together, but I was an agent, so I was never in the office, right? Because I was always everywhere else, right? Then they hired him. Then they asked me to take on the role of a sales manager. I was very successful this first few years of real estate. I just busted my ass and did very well. So they're like, Mackenzie, knowing that I love to teach and educate, will you now be a sales manager and help other agents do the same thing that you did? I was like, yup, here I am, right? Going back to that calling. So now him and I, at one point for almost a year, we literally shared an office.
Oh my gosh.
And you're still married.
And we're still together, and we're still married. And I can't tell you that it was perfect and all of the things, but I mean, I'm telling you, the grace that man has is just, absolutely.
That's amazing. I mean, how many people can say that?
I know. And they cannot. And we tried really hard to break up. We got home, right? Because we would just talk about, now that the kids are older, we're like, okay, great. We'll just talk about work all the time. Well, no, we can't do that either. And that's one thing the biggest shout out to him in our 25 years of marriage. Nothing is perfect. And I would never say here that we have been perfect. He's been instrumental in always doing date nights, time for each other. Yes, you're a mom, Mackenzie, but you're a wife as well. Yeah. Right. And helping me to be not feeling guilty to be a wife and a woman. Right. And going away for a weekend or going out to dinner and that sort of thing. So we are like in this really fun stage right now of not like finding each other again, because we went through a stage where we saw a lot of friends who were getting divorced when their kids got older, and it scared the shit out of us, really. And I was like, ooh, because I'm not doing this again. I'll just have 10 cats and my kids. And I don't even know what to do. I met you when I was 19. Like I would be crippled with, I don't even know how to do it. And so that was a big eye opening for us, probably about right before I did this, probably like in our late 30s. And we just really were seeing that. So it was like, ooh, we didn't like how that felt. And so just really trying to work on, and we're very different, and learning how to communicate again. And now that we don't have the kids at home, our daughter's at home, but she's never home.
Right.
And really we come home and we're like, okay, what do we do? Yeah, this is us. What do we want to do? And this is such a funny story. It's every Friday night we try to go out to dinner. We've got a close friends who are in the same boat as us. Their daughters are a little bit older, but they're already empty nesters. Abby is never home Monday through Thursday, either got practice or with friend, whatever the case may be. But every Friday we try to go out to have drinks and dinner, just something very casual to wrap up our week or whatever. And so lo and behold, every Friday she's like, are you home? Well, no, it's Friday. What's for dinner? Well, we've got this. Well, I'm going to be home. I'm like, dude, you're never home. And the one night,
it's just like our night, right?
Thank you. I was just like, I was home all the other day. So you're not making me feel bad for going out tonight, right?
I know it's such a shift. And you kind of find yourself like, I was like waiting around in case they were going to be home. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm just sitting here doing nothing because I'm waiting to see if my kids are going to be home. And most likely they're not.
Well, I don't know for the moment when they are and you have plans.
And then you feel guilty, but you shouldn't feel guilty because.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but my daughter only wants to talk to me about 10:30 at night when I'm pretty much, I have nothing left in the cylinders. And I was like, I'm going to have a very bad, and I'll say it, I'm going to have a bad mom moment. So whatever you're asking me, just, it's not going to be the answer you want, but I'm just trying to really pull deep when she wants to talk, because it's not often. And so when she wants to, I'm there for her and just listen to all the things that she wants to share.
I've had to tell my daughter, and it's not just like, hey, listen to this story. It's like, I want deep life advice, or I have a huge problem that I've been saving all day or all week and I haven't talked to you about. And I was like, okay, 8:00 is the cutoff. I cannot function past that time.
It's true. It's like the advice just goes down, way down, right? I'm just going to, absolutely. Or your dad starts giving you advice and then you get annoyed. Right. Becomes a big thing.
Well, have you ladies found that? So obviously I don't have a daughter. I have a little guy who's only 6 and then a stepson who's 15. But do you notice that they tend to come to you ladies more too? Or is there like a moment where you see them gravitate to dad and really want to have those like in-depth life conversations, or just curious?
Depends on the kid and the topic.
Well, and I have to say that Abby and her father are thick as thieves. They are incredibly, incredibly close. But the topics, because Mike will be, as some men are, I won't categorize every man, but just like, well, here's your problem, here's a solution, right? Well, we don't want that as women.
There's no emotion behind it, right? It's like,
And she's like, well, that's like, because it was very cut and dry. So, right, she wants the story and the drama and all this stuff, right? So then she'll kind of come to us. But it's one thing that I can share that that Mike saw years ago when we had a daughter, that it was your daughter's self-esteem is not connected to the mom's relationship, it's connected to the father's relationship. Because the daughter will watch how the father treats other women, how treats her as a daughter, treats the mother, wife, whomever. But the daughter's self-esteem can be linked to the relationship they have with their father. And I think that hit Mike incredibly hard. Yeah. And he took that, and he's got a great relationship with his son as well. But my son is, he's mama's boy. Woo! Yeah. Mama's boy. So I don't know, Lori, do you have a mama's boy? Because I do.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
I know. I'm like, too bad I didn't get a son that would still want to hang out with me at this stage of life, right?
Well, my son says he wants to marry me still. So I'm just holding on to that. Because I'm always like, you're going to have a girlfriend. He goes, no, mommy, you're my girlfriend.
Just soak that up, because I'm definitely not my son's girlfriend.
No, right?
But he's also the kid that he's like his father. I think that's why we get along so well, because he's the exact opposite of me, and my daughter and I are exact replicas. We look exactly alike and we act exactly alike. So I think that's why Mike likes her, because I think he still likes me, sort of thing.
Do you butt heads because you're so alike?
Oh, sweet Lord, have mercy. Yeah. And then I get frustrated, and Mike looks at me, he's like, why are you surprised? That's you. Like, what is like, and then the emotions and then all the things and all the stuff. And he's just like, and he's an only child, quiet, introverted only child. So when we start to get like loud, he's like, I don't even know what any of this is. Now I have to say at 17, like it was that 14 to 16 that, I don't know, that stage, whatever. But right now we're just trying to get through college applications and making our college acceptance and being able to move on from that. So for sure.
I had this thought this morning, speaking of college, my daughter, like she's working on her essays and all that kind of stuff. And my instinct is to be like, did you edit this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And all of a sudden it occurred to me, if she can't do that, if she doesn't do that, then, and I'm forcing her to do it, and she gets into college because I'm nagging and nagging and nagging, she is not ready for college. You know what I mean? And she will fail. Like she has to do it on her own. So I was like, I don't know. I just had this moment of clarity where I'm like, I'm not even gonna ask her about it anymore. Like if she doesn't do it, that's on her, and she won't go to the college she wants to go to.
And it's their choice, and it's their path. Yeah. And it's just, they have an amazing college counselor, senior counselors at her school. And it's interesting kind of going full circle. One of the reasons why I left teaching to get into real estate was so that we could be able to send Abby to this all girls high school that we she would just thrive in. And part of it was for the counseling that they have for seniors and getting to where they want to be, and just really watching her on this journey. And her counselor is so good about emailing the parents all the time. Stop talking. Yeah. Just let them do. And like those constant reminders of, man, it's just, I mean, our hearts are literally living outside of our bodies, right? When we look at these humans, I don't care if they're 6, I don't care if they're 17, I don't care if they're 20, they will always, when they're 45, I will be like, come, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
And watching them and giving them that freedom to fail is incredibly hard as moms, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, and my brain goes to this place of, if she doesn't do this, then she won't, like this whole snowball. And I know she's capable. Like I know but what's interesting about it is if I am on her case or nagging her, the exact opposite message gets to her. She thinks I don't believe in her and don't think she's capable.
Right. It's a hard balance, right? Like it's such a hard
it's just, I wake up and we're together. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm saying today. Am I going to talk today? I'm not going to talk today. I'm going to smile. I'm not going to smile. I'm going to stare. Like, I just like that constant, like, I'm not sure. I'm just going to be and see what happens. Right. And that sort of thing. And so, yes, this whole, absolutely.
So does she call you brah?
Oh, no, my son calls me brah, and he's 6. He's like, brah. I'm like,
he doesn't call you that?
I think my kids are old enough to be out of that stage sort of thing. Right. But I hear
my daughter is not.
Oh, really?
Oh no. I get it all the time. She goes, this morning, she says, Mom, what word do I say the most? I don't know. She has an answer that she wants me to say, and I don't know what that is, but I said, bruh. And she goes, besides that. And I was like, lit, like all this slang. I'm like, lit. She goes, besides that. I'm like, okay, you obviously want me to say something. I don't know what you want me to say right now.
So what was it?
I do that all the time. I'm like, what is the right answer? Just tell me the right answer.
I know.
So she didn't tell you what it is? Or she didn't?
No, she didn't tell me what it was. I think she got tired of my answers, and she was like, never mind.
So Mackenzie, I have a question. You said your daughter went to an all-girls school. Now, did your son go to an all-boys school, or
he did not?
Curious how that was.
Yeah, this is a really cool story. This is, having your village, having the women in your life. So at preschool, when our son was at preschool, again, needing more friends, right? They're like, okay, when kids go to preschool, you meet people. I'm like, okay, great. I'll meet people. So I was not just a jamboree at preschool. Hi, my name is Mackenzie. This is my son or daughter. Do you want to have a play date? And that's just kind of how I built up this community of people. But when Abby was in preschool, we met our friends and their son. They had a son. And we kind of grew up together in the neighborhood and the pool on the summertime, and we ran together and did all those things. She is from up north where same-sex schools are much more prevalent, right? In Florida, it wasn't even an option. And I'm an educator, right? And it wasn't even anything to think about. So this all-girls high school is literally in Raleigh. So it's probably 15 minutes from our house. And so she has 2 boys. So she said to me one day, just promise me that you will just check out, because it changed my life. She went to all-girls school. Wow. She and then went on to Georgetown. And she was just like, I can't tell you what it did for me. And this mom is a badass mom, and she's so strong, and she's somebody I look up to, and I go to her for a lot of advice because she's amazing. And so I had that in my mind, and this is when the kids were young.
Yeah.
And then when she was in 7th grade, oh God, you'll love this story. She's in 7th grade. They do like a tea thing with moms and tea and all the things. And we went, and the headmaster at the time said, you have to decide now, is this going to be your daughter's decision or is this going to be the parents' decision? right? Because you think same sex. It's like, I don't want to go to all girls school. I don't want to do this. People think I'm weird. You have people, I mean, all the things that people think, right? And so that happened in 7th grade. And in 8th grade, Mike and I made the decision, education being very important to us and thinking long-term for her, that it was our decision. And she was we wonder if she got accepted, she would go to this school. And so Abby had to turn in a paper, right? To write a paper. And it was for 8th grade. She had to write a persuasive essay. So you know what she did? Her persuasive essay was why you shouldn't go to a same-sex school.
I love it.
And that was her 8th grade persuasive essay to let us know and to see exactly how she felt about it. And I wouldn't say she went kicking and screaming. Our son went to a large, and she saw what our son went to. It was a Catholic school, but it was big. It's as big as a public school here. And football and all boys, right?
Yeah.
Boys, right? And she just, so she went, and it's been the best, absolute best for years of her life. And the best example I can give is in 8th middle school, she would have said that I don't like science. I'm not very good at math. She'll still say that about math, but now there's been 2 science teachers that have been women teachers who have been pivotal. So now she's graduating with 6 science classes instead of 4. She doubled up on science.
Wow.
And she's looking at her major to be like science-based and she has that confidence. I think she already had it. Again, going back, if I had this ounce of her confidence at 17, when I was 17, oh my God, we would all be ruling the world. But it just opened up. There's no filter.
So she liked it, that comes down to she actually she might.
Not only does she like it, she's thriving in it.
Right. That's
thriving in it. And the connections, it's just been phenomenal.
That question of you have to decide right now, is this your kid's choice or your choice? I wish somebody had said that to me. It was at multiple stages, because there's this whole dance of how much autonomy do you want them to have, but their brains aren't fully formed, So it's and my kids, both of their high school experiences, I offered to send them to a smaller school, and they were like, no, I want to go with my friends. And they were insistent. And I let them do what they wanted to do. And now my oldest is like, I hated high school and I wish I would have gone somewhere else. And I was like, and of course I'm like, oh my God, how many times did I say, I'll send you some,
Yeah.
But I think that you have to, if you're wavering at all, they will pick up on that, and you're the parent. You got to make choices for them sometimes.
And it's so hard to do that. But so when he took that piece of advice, he's like, you're absolutely right. And now for college, where's her first choice isn't my first choice. Mm-hmm. Does she know that? She feel it? Yeah. But I said to Mike, I go, we have 2 options here. We can say to her, you can't go.
Yeah.
Basically, or we won't pay. Right. She could still go. She would just have to is that what we're doing? Or we're going to say right now, today, this is where she thinks she wants to be. And this is her place. So if we can make it happen financially and all the things, are we willing to do that? And if we are, then we need to, so this we're willing to say, okay, to high school, we weren't. And she's reminding me of that too. You decided high school. I get to decide college.
Right. It's my turn now.
Well, she's older now. And like you said, she's thriving and she's more responsive. There's just so many more things with that years of experience with her growth and just proving, what she's capable of. I think now putting her in a position to make those bigger decisions, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, and that's why she would put in the environment that we put her in, so that she would feel confident to make these types of decisions, and it's all coming. I said to our husband, we did this to ourselves. You realize that, right?
Exactly.
So now we can't take that back. Right. So,
but the beautiful thing is, again, from your story, from all of our stories, we all know if she hates it, if she goes and she hates it, she can change it. She can make a different choice.
And that goes back to, I think I shared at the beginning, where it's helping me, because what did I just say before? I was supposed to go to college. I was supposed to get married. I was supposed to have kids, right? I should have this. So now it's there really isn't a supposed to. So I can't act like there's not a supposed to, but make her be a supposed to. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Right?
Which is hard, right? Because we are so conditioned.
Listen, the struggle bus is real. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on here saying that everything, like I'm doing it right, but at least it allows me, when we get emotional, I'm like, Mackenzie, what? Absolutely not. Remember, thank God that she is finding herself this way. Yeah. It took me 20 more years than it's taking her. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so thankful that she's, and I hope and I believe it's because of what she's seen, that her dad and I have bet on each other, and the faith that we've had in each other, and the changes that we've made. So that's giving her the confidence to shoot for the stars too.
Totally. And your parents learned something from you when you went out and did this, different venture, and you're learning from her. I just think it's so interesting. Like, traditionally we all think we learn from somebody older. I've learned more from my kids. And I'm sure my parents learned so many lessons, like stuff they did not want to learn from me and my brother.
Well, and it's having that space to have time with our parents now. I'm in this space where I have time to sit with my parents and have that time, right? Like, so we can't wait to leave the house. We can't wait to be away from our parents. Then we start our own family, and then you're in the weeds with your own family. And I've since moved my parents up here to North Carolina, so they're super close now, which has been amazing.
So awesome.
So now I have the space to sit with my parents and to talk to them, and to my dad especially. My mom and I were always super close and talking. And again, they say you marry your dad sort of thing. Mike would be like, I'm not your father, but the same kind of things. And just having that time and space with my dad has been phenomenal, because I did not have the same relationship that Mike has with Abby. I didn't have a bad relationship. Again, it's that generation. It's just learning and trying to be a little bit better about. So we're kind of having that now, and that's been super sweet. And for him to say at 47 years old, Mackenzie, I am so proud of you. I could have never done what you've done, and bet on yourself, because it just wasn't something that he could have done. So it was pretty cool at 47, you still want your parents' approval.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
Yes. Again, what would my parents think?
Well, exactly. I mean, I called my mom, and then I'm like, well, what did dad really say? Right. It's like, I told my mom everything, and she supported me. She's like, let me talk to your dad. I'm like, what did he say? Right. So that's the kind of relationship that we have. And I was like, no, but for real, what did dad say? And it's so funny. That's what Abby does. Like, not in a bad way, that sort of stuff. So, and awesome. I feel remiss talking about Abby so much and Kyle, but he's off doing his own life and stuff like that too. So doing his thing.
So obviously with your new venture, I love to always ask, like, what are you most excited about? You're obviously excited about your new company, but what else in life? You're going to be an empty nester. Are there other things that you're really just like pumped up about and it's just really keeping you going?
Exploring myself, right? And just really having, it's been a lot of fun just to kind of explore and what's my next. And one thing that this team is going to be amazing, and I'm a partner in it. So it's always going to be a part of what I'm doing now. But I'm always now thinking, with this, what can then be the branch off of here, right? It was always like, I'm a teacher, so I'm always a teacher. It was never, what's the branch of that? Yeah. And so now I'm kind of learning this journey that I'm on. And so I'm most excited to not know what's going to happen next, because I'm trying to live in that. This is it. And for right now and for today. And there's going back to, just being open, just really being open to receiving, because the smallest things have the biggest impact is what I'm learning in those relationships of the people that I'm meeting on a daily basis.
Love it.
Cool. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Well, Mackenzie, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I mean, I hope you've inspired me, and I know that you've inspired our listeners to just keep really feeling and doing and going above and beyond when you're getting out of your comfort zone, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to.
It absolutely does. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you.